Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Nyaya Vaiseshika system is trying to build linguistic model of a universe. They are modeling the universe through language. It is here the imaginations of the engineers may work. You can model it the way these people are modeling. Now you have access to latest technology in computer, and the way they are doing it, if you follow the same way, you can model the universe in this way. So, for the Nyaya Vaiseshika system, what is the universe? It is a set of reference, called universal set of reference. And by that what we mean is any human being living any part of the globe is referring to the universe through language. So, if you prepare a grand total of all the reference, you will see that these referents are nothing more than the universe, the whole universe. Including even scientists, whatever scientists also are making, referring to whatever they have found out, or they are referring to them only through language. So they may be coining some term. So all this is universe. This universe now seen to be grouped into two groups. One is a bhava. So if we say referent is an entity, so bhava will become positive entities. As I said, a pen, a chair, a table, a man, anything, bhava, presence. And that which is present, if it is a limited entity, this, you see, these ideas will get further clarified in course of time. If that entity, if that bhava has a limited size, like chair, table, pen, then you can talk of its absence elsewhere. Is not so? But you will see that there are entities which are everywhere. For example, time. Now, how can you talk of absence of time? Time, huh? Time is not at all moving. So that is it. Why is it not moving? There is no space. That which can move, provided it has a space. If something is such an entity which pervades the entire space, how can it move? These ideas will become slowly clear. Don't worry. I'm just trying to bring to you to the way the Vaisheshikas are thinking. Their mode of thinking, I'm trying to bring all of you to that. So, Sambhava has limited size and Sambhava has unlimited size. We have terms for all this in the text we are going to learn. So, the bhava which has limited size, chair for example, this chair, limited size, it can occupy a limited space, then its absence can be in other space. So, the chair is occupying that space and absence of the chair is occupying the rest of the space of the universe. Isn't it so? This is how they are thinking. So, there has to be a category called bhava and there has to be a category called abhava. And both are required to be true. Now, suppose the space barring the space of this chair, if the absence of this chair is not true, then I cannot say that the chair is here. So, bhava also is true, abhava also is true. This is how they are thinking. On this, there is a great debate, in the tradition. Thousands of years of debate. Whether abhava should be treated as an entity or not. And the Nayayikas have all along maintained, unless you treat it as an entity, you cannot explain bhava. This is the situation. So there is a universe, nothing but a grand total of reference, can be grouped into two groups, bhava and abhava. Bhava, a positive entity, abhava, negative but entity. So, negative entity and positive entity. That's all. And then further, till we reach the surrounding in which we are living. This is what they have done. But they have gone from down to top. This you should note. Down to top, what I mean? So, from down to top. Top is padartha. And the down is our experiences of this surrounding universe. So, this anubhava, analyzing this anubhava, my anubhava, your anubhava, wherever your anubhava, my anubhava match, there is a samvada. What I say, you get. What you say, I get. This is samvada, verified. So confirmed that we have a common universe. I have a universe. Whatever I understand to be universe, you also understand to be universe. Universe means reference, okay? Huh? And they match. They are identified to be one and the same. So that universe becomes common universe, public universe, call it. Is that so? And therefore, we can, by analyzing, we can start analyzing our anubhava. Because by analyzing our anubhava, what are you going to get? We are going to get the universe. So even a small sentence, if I say there is a pen on the table, if I take up this sentence, which is anubhava. Now sentence is an encoded anubhava. I analyze and I find there is a pen, there is a table, and on, I say on the table. So on also should refer to relationship. They are also there. There is a contact between the table and the pen. So contact also is a part of the universe. It is, nothing is to be created by my mind. I am not conjecturing anything. This way I go on identifying the referents and then go on classifying them. And this way classifying, and then I reach this padartha. So from anubhava to padartha. This has been the journey of the Nyaya Vaiseshika philosophers. And now they are teaching, they are telling us now, they have confirmed it, that this is fact. And so they now are telling us that this is the universe which consists of two groups, bhava and abhava. I say there is a pen on the table, and I also say there is no pen on the table. Both are true, you see. So as I should posit a pen, table, and a relationship, I should also posit absence of pen, table, and the relationship between the two. So from anubhava to theorization. So the entire theorization of Nyaya Vaiseshika is based on experience, human experience. So this is our laboratory. So if I say Paramanu, immediately your physics Paramanu comes to your mind. But we have come through logic. From where we want to build the whole, that we call Paramanu. Today, at some time you were also calling atom, then you have broken it, gone further. Now, there you stand now today, you know. So to explain now the effect, now you have to start now from there. That is Paramanu for us. That is why I say this is not the report of physical laboratory, and therefore people is misled, gets commits mistake because of the word Parmanu is atom. No, sir, no, what old things you are telling. Now the science has gone so ahead and you are still in atom. Of course, when we were talking of atom, nobody talked about atom in the world. That also is a fact. It is we talked atom. Vaiseshika, the philosopher, he introduced this idea. But this idea is not observation, analysis and conclusion. Observation is this observation. Experience, anubhava. Through anubhava, they came to this conclusion. So this is a logical deduction. This is an analysis of human thought. That is the method. So, down to top is the journey in Nyaya Vaiseshika. Why I am telling you this? Because then you will understand Advaita, Vedanta. Vedanta is from top to down. Vedanta is from top to down. What do I mean by top to down again here? Here, Upanishads. So Vedanta is the result of interpretation of the Upanishadic sentences. This is not the analysis of your day-to-day anubhava. Later on you can match it. So those who are 500% attached emotionally to Vedanta should not get disturbed. Sir, what are you telling? Anubhava, you are not starting from Anubhava. How can I start from Anubhava? Can you know Brahman? But I can know Padartha. I can know Padartha, no, in Anubhava. Anubhava, what? If there is a Padartha, then alone I can know. But Brahman is not a Padartha. I'm not joking. Very seriously, I'm reflecting. Please reflect. When I am starting from Anubhava, I am experiencing Padartha. But I am not experiencing a Brahman. Nirguna Brahman. Am I? Is it possible? If it is that simple, then everybody knows Brahman. If it is that simple, then Brahma Jnana everybody has. Then everybody is Mukta. Yesterday, we said there is a reality accepted by a system which is beyond mind, beyond language. So there is a reality called Nirguna Brahman, which is beyond language, beyond mind. Cannot be Anubhava Vishaya. It cannot be Vishaya at all. It does not have any Vishaya. It itself also cannot be Vishaya of any other Jnana. So, this day-to-day Anubhava, and therefore it cannot be Padartha, it is not Avideya. All these things we have done. Nirguna Brahma cannot be referred to by language. So, it cannot be Padartha. What is padartha for us? That which can be referred to. So it is not a referent. And here object is referent. So padartha anubhava is here, is okay. Padartha anubhava is possible here, but if Brahman is not a padartha. Padasya artha, padartha I mean. It is not a padartha. So I do not have an anubhava of that. Then where from should I start knowing Brahman? I should try. If there is a reality, we are accepted. There is a reality called Brahman. And that reality has to be known, to be understood at least. Where from should we start? Who can help us? The Upanishads. People are not happy because it is very naked truth, no? I am advancing a logic so that you understand Vedanta also and you understand Nyaya Vaiseshika. Do you want to understand only Vedanta? This is not the place. For that, other discourses will be there. I want to know the reality and the methodology to understand. Here I have Padartha Vishayaka Anubhava. An Anubhava in which Padartha is the content. Day to day everybody has. And Padartha is real. Ultimately real. No degrees of reality. Nyaya Vaiseshika. Is it the case with the Nirguna Brahma? Then where should you start knowing Nirguna Brahma? Where should you depend? So you start from Upanishads. So from top you start. What are the way of knowing Brahman? What is the Vedanta way of knowing Brahman? So much emotionally attached to certain position. It's very difficult to adjust. It will take time to digest this. But once you are familiar with this, you will be happy. You will know how to move further in your own belief. I am just no. Let us stick to Nyaya Vaiseshika. Okay. Let us not make a khichdi. Khichdi is a separate padartha. Rice is a separate padartha. Sambar is a separate padartha. Vegetable is a separate padartha. Khichdi is a separate padartha. We want to know what is rice, what is sambar, what is. Everything is Brahman then. Please bring me Brahman, I am hungry. I am thirsty, bring me a glass of Brahman or a Brahman of Brahman. So we are analyzing. This is not a discourse. This is a Purana Pravachana. This is not a Purana Pravachana. So I am just giving you a clue so that you can reflect very scientifically, logically, and examine. So one approach is from anubhava to theorization, and the other one is believe it, that there is a truth here in the Upanishad, and try to analyze it, understand it, and bring to your level of experience. You do not start from the level of experience. You start from the Upanishad and bring it to the level of experience. This is top-down model. This is the Vedanta model. And Nyaya Vaiseshika model is down to top model. Because here the entire world is real. There is no degrees of reality. So it is a padartha. It is real, ultimately real. And we analyze it. What do we analyze? What is accessible to me? My experience. Your experience is available to me in what form? In the form of a sentence. And I tally, I verify, and identify. We are living in a common universe. So let us analyze that common universe, theorize it, generalize it, and give you a theory of universe. Here is a theory of universe. The entire universe is nothing but a grand summation of reference. This is a theory of universe. I hope I am giving some tips I am giving to reflect. This system is a system to make you think, to train you in thinking process. That is why it is called Pradeepaha Sarva Shastrana. Yesterday, someone was telling you, that mathematics is the language of all languages, science of all sciences. Dr. Verkheri was telling you, here you see. So this is the method to be adopted by one and all who is interested in reflecting critically, scientifically, logically, rationally, without allowing emotion to overpower rationality. Is a very, very crude form in that way. It does not matter while analyzing, I am not emotional. I should not be emotional, as a matter of fact, because emotion has its own role to play at a particular place, and that I know. You will also be able to analyze emotions. So rationality and emotionality you will be able to distinguish. That kind of a training is provided by this system of Nyaya Vaiseshika. The entire text of Tarkasamgraha is designed in that way. Though it's a very small text, but it's a profound text, provided you look it from this angle. This is not given there. And so, maximum number of commentaries is written on Tarkasamgraha. Maximum number of commentaries. Everybody who reads one, feels like reflecting. I translated, you have now translation with you. Now again I read, I feel, okay, I should write another translation. Because I am also growing, in thinking. It is not that I am the same person when I was in 10 years before. Those who think that they have known everything, Sarvagya they have become, their growth is, they're blocked, that's all. And reflection is the only method of growing. Only method is to grow, is to reflect. Keep on learning, keep on growing, keep on reflecting. That is why I I feel from heart of heart that this method should be made available in the general stream of education of our country. Our children, bright, bright young boys. I can talk to them. They will also understand this. It is not impossible. Once you are clear, once you know that this is what is happening, and if you have command over the language, as I have already told you, you can communicate. It's no problem. You can communicate. Maybe one boy may take little more time. I will repeat. A teacher should repeat. Teacher should also learn how to teach. So, Vedanta, top to down. Nyaya Vaiseshika, down to top. So, Tarkasamgraha we want to know. Now, this is the whole tree will emerge. From Padartha, we will start, we will see that how the whole text has been designed. Tarkasamgraha, yeah, please. Yeah.
The so-called given in Nyaya Vedanta will be different than the type of given in Vedanta. Even here my given is the experience. But in Vedanta my given will not be experience. It is a belief in the Upanishadic
Thought, and then but ultimately you will be matching with your experience. Ultimately, you will come down. It has to be matched. Even the Nyayikas, when go from down to top, they are astika, no? So they have to justify what is said in the Veda, in the Upanishad. Only approach is different. What has been said in the Upanishad is not rejected in Nyaya, is accepted. But the primacy is of the reflection on your experience, analysis. So they start with Anumana, and for corroboration they bring Veda. So through logic I have come, this deduction I have made through logic, and what I have concluded is supported by the Veda. See? Opposite is, you start from believing that Upanishad is telling you the truth, and then you ultimately experience, match with your own experience. Nastikas will have a different presupposition. Already we have seen. So they will adjust accordingly. They will also start from the Agama. Jainas will start from the Agama. Buddhists will start from the Buddha Vachana. Analysis is later. And they believe that the Upanishads are the expressions of experiences of the great souls. So they believe it. So first you have to believe it. And then go follow the instructions. And you match with your own experience at the end. This is the method. So all spiritual, those who all analysis, interested in the development of spiritual growth of man, they have to follow this. So either this way or that way. Start from Anubhava, go on analyzing, and see, okay, this is what has been said by the sages. Or start from there, believing there, and experience, oh, this is what we are experiencing now here. This is the way their approaches are. And they have their own grounds, logic, rationality to maintain these positions. So I am just showing you a method how you will understand Vedanta, and a method how you will understand Nyaya Shastra. Simultaneously you are getting these two. While teaching Tarkasamgraha, it is never taught in this way. Dravya guna karma samanya samvaya bhava sapta padarthaha avagatam. If you know Sanskrit, it's very easy, no? Avagatam? Oh, avagatam. Kim avagatam? That is why. Now, this system, little historical background I should give you before I take up reading the text. Initially, these two systems, Vaiseshika and Nyaya, they were different. This text of your Tarkasamgraha is called Nyaya Vaiseshika text. Combined name is given to that. And for that, little historical background I should give. Gautama, now sutra we saw. Different sutras are there. Vaisheshika sutras. By yesterday you read, you have written, sir. You did not read at home. I am just joking. Don't worry. So, Kanada and Gautama. You have Kanada, Vaisheshika Sutra. Vaisheshika Sutra. This is Nyaya Sutra. This was the method of theorizing a system in those days. Small sentences arranged in an order to share, to communicate. So this was Panini Sutra you have. So you have Sutra literature. Easy to remember, easy to memorize. Children can easily keep the whole thing in the mind. So that is why this style of presentation was adopted, Sutra style. Very small sentence, easy to remember. Now on that, a tradition began. So he presented a theory of the universe, and that tradition began, thinking, reflections began, then Bhashya, then you come to Prasastapada Bhashya. There is a big gap between that, but many big texts have been lost. But what is available today is this. Prasastapada Bhashya. Here you have Vatsyayana Bhashya. Bhashya is an elaborate commentary on Sutra. You have Patanjali Mahabhashya on Panini Sutra, Vyasa Bhashya on Yoga Sutra, like that. So, these are very small sentences, but it contains so much of material in that. They all are made clear in the Bhashya. Our method of dialogue, yesterday I told you, that our method of dialogue was like this. Not writing books on dialogue separately. But this is how we communicated, sat in a dialogue and communicated. We wrote commentaries, like that. This is how we reflected. So when this is written, many questions were asked. Those questions are to be taken into account, and to reply to those doubts, elaborate commentaries were written. Same thing happened here. Nyaya Sutra, in a very precise way, the whole philosophy was presented, theory was presented in a small sentences. called sutras, and elaborate commentaries were written by Vatsyayana. So Prasastapada is the name of the author of the Bhashya, and Vatsyayana is the name of the author of Bhashya. So Vatsyayana Bhashya. So Bhashya, so the name will be Nyaya Sutra Bhashya of Vatsyayana. Vaiseshika Sutra Bhashya of Prasastapada, like that. So, but this is by 5th century, 6th century. Then you go like that. This is also AD. So say 1st century AD onwards, roughly. It's very difficult to assign the dates now. So we have to assume some kind, because somebody refers to this, then we understand that this is earlier than that. So in a very relative age we can know. Exact age is very difficult to decide. And I always say they were not very particular in putting a signature. We are very careful, copyright. So we enjoy. Jnana, Shankara says in places, what belongs to me? Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Ishabhashyamidam sarvam. Yatkincha jagatyam jagat. In Ishabhashya Upanishad, Ishabhashyamidam sarvam. The whole universe is pervaded by Ishvara. Then what should I do? Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Give prominence to tyaga. Tyaga purvaka bhoga you do. Now, bhoga purvaka tyaga comes or not, nobody knows. There is a difference in attitude towards life. And then tena tyak ma gridha kasasvit dhanam. And there Shankaracharya says that what belongs to you? Anybody? This is mine. I always give example of children growing. When they are very small, even their own brother, they will not share the toys. A quarrel. Mother is taking my toy. My toy. And when brother goes elsewhere, he goes and puts it somewhere so that his brother does not see it. Put it. But it grows, no. Then he himself gives. This is growth. After that, even he gives to their neighbor's boy. And after all, he says, what is this thing? Toy. He throws it. Has growth happened or not? So, is it not an indication that man can grow? So, bhoga, tyaga purvaka. This has been the teaching of the country. But who cares for the teachings of the country? Bring some package from somewhere and promote. So Vatsyayana. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, there is very big gap and there is no tradition is not very continuous here. So full material of this system is not available. But what has happened is known from the literature of Nyaya. It continuous, there is a, so Nyaya Sutra Bhashya you got, alright. Then Nyaya Sutra Bhashya Vartika was written by Udyotakara. So Nyaya Sutra Bhashya by Vatsyayana, on that Vartika by Udyotakara. Udyotakara. Udyotakara is the name of the commentator. Then on this, Nyaya Sutra, Bhashya, Vartika, Tatparya, Tatparya, Tatparya Tika, Tatparya Tika. Why? Vachaspati Mishra. So Nyaya Sutra Bhashya, Nyaya Sutra Bhashya Vartika, Nyaya Sutra Bhashya Vartika, Tatparya Tika. Is a commentary on commentary on commentary on commentary. This is how growing. This is the dialogue I say. Nyaya Sutra Bhashya Vartika Tatparya Tika Parishuddhi by Udayana. Udayana Acharya. So Nyaya Sutra Bhashya Vartika Tatparya Tika Parishuddhi. Up to this it is 1000 AD. So you have a clear history of 1000 years debate, recorded history with you, 1000 years. And then here you have Nyaya Manjari little earlier, in between. Nyaya Manjari of Jayanta Bhatta of Kashmir. This is maybe here somewhere, little earlier, 9th century AD. Jayanta in he says this, sorry. वैशेषिकास्तु अस्मद् अनुयायिनः एव. This is the statement of Jayanta. He says that the Vaisheshika philosophers are our followers. Asmad anuyayinah eva. They are following us. Means the worldview of the Nyayikas and the worldview of the Vaisheshikas have merged in over a period of time. So initially they were different, And over a period of time, because of the give and take of reflections, they have agreed to believe in the worldview of the Nyayikas. And thereafter, after 10th century, you find that the system is called Nyaya Vaiseshika system. So they are not different in the worldview. Initially, the Vaisheshikas had only seven padarthas we saw yesterday. The 6 bhava and one is abhava. But earlier it was only 6. Shat padarth. Therefore, the another name of the Vaisheshik system is Shat padarthi. But over a period, so there was no God there. There was no abhava counted in Nyaya separately. But abhava was there. So abhava was taken from them, God is taken by them. All that happened. It happens, when two people start thinking separately. And over a period of time, you may agree with my worldview. And once you agree with my own worldview, then we will go together. This is what has happened. The Nyayikas were reflecting in their own way, and Vaisheshikas were reflecting in their own way. They had a particular presupposition or worldview, but over a period of time, there was give and take, and the two systems merged into one. And then the system is called Nyaya Vaisheshika system. And your text is an introduction to Nyaya Vaisheshika system. By the by, this period of development, this literature, now you can see it's very easy. All these are the replies. He wrote something, then people started reflecting critically. So questions must have been asked. Many questions were asked, replied by him, by Vatsyayana. And mostly they were Buddhists. Mostly. Others also did not agree with Nyaya. But it is mainly the Buddhist logicians were raising questions. Very, very fundamental questions they were raising. And to reply to those questions, they had to write commentaries. And this is how the dialogue continued up to the Udayanacharya. And by the time of Udayana, 2 issues were left, unsettled. And I think they are unsettled even today and will remain unsettled forever. And those 2 issues are whether there is a God or not, and whether there is a self or not. Atma asti vanava, Ishvaraha asti vanava. No, in your department of philosophy, should they not teach this way? But in the West, Indian philosophy is taught in religious studies department. They have a department of philosophy separate. But there the Indian philosophy will not be, cannot enter. They have been given a place called religious studies department. So they are allowed to discuss philosophy in that. So whether it is a philosophy or not is okay. In India, philosophy department. Put off. Philosophy department. But Indian philosophy has no place. If only, okay, so you make some shouting, why Indian philosophy is not there, this and that. So, okay, give him some chance. Put some chair for Indian philosophy, as if they are doing favor to Indian philosophy. and start teaching Indian philosophy from secondary sources. Indian philosophy is here, no? Where is Indian philosophy, sir? In Sanskrit, no? Is not so? The original thoughts have been encoded in which language? In Sanskrit. You want to teach philosophy, Indian philosophy, should you not study Sanskrit books? But you will not do, because you have no capacity. This is the state of affairs in which we are. Why should I blame Western universities? This is not their job. I will criticize intellectually that this is irrational. Why should philosophy not be, Indian philosophy not be taught in the department? But in India also I have to shout for Indian philosophy. So, you understand what I say? There has been a critical reflection on any issue. So, Udayanacharya wrote 2 books on these 2 issues, on God and on Atman. On God, what is called Nyaya Kusumanjali. Is on God. And Atma Tattva Viveka on self or soul. Atma Tattva Viveka. Viveka. Both the books are now available in English. You can also read in English. So this is the 10th century. After 10th century, somehow, something very, I don't know, mysterious something's happened. And Buddhism started declining. And no Buddhist logicians were left. Nalanda was the center. Nalanda was the oldest university at the center. And the Chinese travelers account you read, you come to know what was the grandeur of that university. And then that was destroyed. The libraries were burnt. And this is how, one after the other, things have started happening, and Buddhism declined very badly. And that was a great loss, according to me. Because we need genuine reflections, critical questions for deeper understanding of the truth. Thereafter, so this period of development of Nyaya, from Gautama up to Udayana, including the writings of the Buddhists and all the systems of philosophy, other systems of philosophy, This period is called Prachina Nyaya period. This is the Prachina Nyaya. This is called. This is also called Nyaya Chaturgranthika. So Prachina Nyaya is 1,000 years development dialogue. Thereafter, another trend started. And all these things happen later on. But the Nyayikas realize something, that something is happening. Why is it that the Buddhists are not satisfied with the answers given already by the commentators, the elaborators, and they identified that the reason lies in the language of discourse. Till that time, it is a natural Sanskrit was being used for discourse. Natural Sanskrit language as a medium of discourse up to Udayanacharya. It is Udayanacharya who realized that in spite of clarification again and again, the same questions are being raised again. It implies that there is a failure of communication. And therefore, we need to develop a language for precise communication. And he started the trend, and later on, another development took place. And it was the beginning of the Navya Nyaya language. So Udayanacharya initiates the development of Navya Nyaya by pointing out to the fact that it is the language which is creating ambiguity, and we should develop a language which should be ambiguity free. And with that aim, the philosophers now got engaged in developing. These philosophers were the Nyayikas. They were engaged in developing a new language of discourse, and that language is called Navya Nyaya language. So, few things more about the further development after 1000 AD, and then we go to the text. So, you can see that these two issues were left, God and self. And on these two issues, two texts were written. Now, whether physicists or philosophers or anybody, those who want to engage any discourse or discussion on these two issues, is it not necessary to look into this? Because this presents to you the situation up to 1000 AD. So, suppose you want to have a discourse on God, then it is a natural demand that you should be acquainted what were the arguments made in favor, what were the arguments made against, and then if you have to add something, then only we can go further, no? So this is, but what is accessible? Is this accessible to anybody? No. Or does anyone care to look into it? The same thing is here. You are talking of consciousness, a very, very big topic nowadays. Consciousness. The scientists are also now trying to understand what consciousness is. Is it not necessary that we should go through this to understand what consciousness is? What was the debate? What were the arguments in favor or against? Till 1000 AD. This is how knowledge grows, no? But you know, okay, it doesn't matter. We all are Swayambhu. These are the things, which disturb me, because it's all irrational things that are happening. Nobody cares. These philosophers are so much reflected on these issues, and their reports are available with you. Kindly go through them and then reflect, then add something or delete something, does not matter. Do you think that everything has been maintained in 1000 years? What Nyaya said earlier? They went on revising, parishkara, parishkara, parishkara. We went on doing that. This is the way of growth. But that habit itself is gone now. More interested in putting a signature. This is the whole thing. So after this, what happened? He realized, the Nyayikas realized that the communication is failing. Why is it failing? They said. Why we are not able to convince the Buddhists or others who do not believe in God? What is the reason? And Udayacharya identified that it is perhaps the reason, the medium of discourse. Language is creating the problem. And language is created because natural language, more natural the language is, more ambiguous it is. Because the same sentence can be interpreted in a number of ways. So they decided that let us develop a language of language of discourse, philosophical discourse, critical reflection discourse, and that language is Navya Nyaya language. Navya Nyaya language. This is after this is the foundation course now. After this course, there will be 3 torture courses. Navya Nyaya language and methodology number 1, number 2, and number 3. See, so decide whether to continue or not. So, you can see Navya Nyaya, Nyaya, Navya Nyaya, new Nyaya, new logic. What is the new logic? Simply they focused on something else. The focus was earlier on prameya. Prameya is issue. These are the issues: God, soul, punarjanma, all these things were the issues. So should we accept God as a prameya or not? Should we accept soul or self as a prameya or not? Is there something called self, Atma, or Ishvara? Like that. This they have been discussing right from the Upanishadic period. So, prameya pradhana was prachina nyaya. And you have a history of 1000 years of this. And the Navya Nyaya shifted the focus from prameya to pramana. So, pramana pradhana, Navya Nyaya. And in this they concentrated on developing a language of discourse. And that language is called Navya Nyaya language, Navya Nyaya Bhasha. And thereafter you find, so, and who was the founder or the elaborator of this idea? Initiator is Udayanacharya, but establisher is Gangesha Upadhyaya. Gangesha Upadhyaya. He wrote Tattva Chintamani. This text. It deals with 4 pramanas: Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana and Shabda. We are going to read in this text. So, pramana was the focus. Tattva Chintamani. And then again same thing happened as happened with the Nyaya Sutra. Commentary over commentary over commentary over commentary over commentary. Started, the tradition started. And till now it continues. Fortunately, some philosophers have been left, like Professor Prahlad Tatacharya, Ramanuja Tatacharya. So old now he is, you can see. Like that, very few are left in the country who continue with this. So after 10th century AD, so this happened in the 13th century AD. This is 13th century. So from 13th century AD onwards, when this language was made, Navya Nyaya Bhasha was made available, all thinkers of all domains, maybe Vyakarana or Mimamsa or Dharma Shastra, any field of knowledge, the thinkers started writing the text in this language, because this became a language of which was intended to make precise ambiguity free communication, like mathematical language. As mathematical language, there is no scope of any ambiguity. That is why it is adopted by all, even social scientists, they use it. Same thing happened with Navya Nyaya language. So the grammarians also started writing the text in this language, because everywhere there is a chance of ambiguity. So they wanted to communicate in their own domain. So inside the domain, own domain, and outside the domain. So intra-domain, inter-domain, both kind of communication they started doing through this language called Navya Nyaya. Now you tell me, common sense, that say 13th century onwards, up till 19th century, even today, whatever is being written in this language, if this language is not taught, who will be able to understand the text written in this language? If the symbolic logic is not taught, any text written in symbolic logic, will it be understandable to anybody? So symbolic logic is taught. But in our tradition, Navya Nyaya language is not being taught. Straight away you start teaching Advaita Siddhi. Oh, I have studied Advaita Siddhi. But it is written in Navya Nyaya language. Maybe it was possible for a particular person, few persons, to do that because the whole life they were doing only that. I can understand that. But should it not be made available to one and all? And what is the way? The way is to make this language available as a program for one and all. So whosoever will be interested in going to the original text, they can go. This was exactly the reason I began this kind of activity. So make a foundation, then go for teaching Navya Nyaya language. Purpose is what? Purpose is to get familiar with the language so that whosoever will be desirous of going to the original text written in this language will be benefited by this kind of a course. That was the only reason that I started doing all this. Now, is it necessary or not, you tell me? Otherwise, all the discourses of how many? 800 years? 700, 800 years discourse will remain only in books, only in libraries. Will it be made available to others? And there is not one issue. In all issues, many types of issues, whether it is aesthetics, Rasagangadhara. In aesthetics, you have a Rasagangadhara written in this language. In philosophy of language, Kondabhatta, Vyakarna Bhushana, Bhushana Sara, written in this language. Gaga Bhatta, Mimamsa, Vedanta, n number of, even now you ask them, they will be doing the discourse only in this language. Avachedaka, Avachinna, they will be telling so many things in a language which is all alien. Even to Sanskrit scholars, they don't. You see, knowing Sanskrit means knowing Sanskrit natural language one thing, and knowing Navya Nyaya language is something different. No, you know English. Do you know symbolic logic? Is symbolic logic language or not? So, is it not required to know that separately? If I know English, can I read medical books? So, that kind of attempt was never made, and therefore there is a great gap, and our children are not up to date with the contributions of the tradition. What contributions they made, what arguments they made, why they made, what was the necessity. This will sharpen their minds, if they know this. And such attempts were never made. And hence there is a great necessity of undertaking such programs and make it available to one and all. Well, I do not claim I am not a Sarvagya, but at least this much is known to me, that whatever little I know, even that much is not known. And so I wanted to share this through this, just to make you aware that you have a great wealth left behind by our ancestors, and which is of use not for only today, not for only this part of the country, or for this country only, for any human being who is interested in natural, critical, rational reflection. This is the vyapti of this tradition. And so, this tradition from Tattva Chintamani onwards, all that developed through commentaries, and created different schools. One school is called Gadadhara school, Gadadhara Bhattacharya, and Jagadisha school, Jagadisha Tarkalankar. they differed in interpreting this. So interpretation, you see that there is a difference in interpretation and therefore different school of interpretation. So you have Gadadhara school, they have Jagadisha school of interpretation of Navya Nyaya. What happened, you see, Mithila, Tattva-Chintamani, Gangeshopadhyaya was in Mithila. Mithila is the eastern part of our country, near Nepal border. Gangeshopadhyaya. Now it is Bihar, the northern part of Bihar. So Gangeshopadhyaya, he wrote Tattva-Chintamani, and scholars from Navadvipa, Nadia, West Bengal, they went to Mithila and studied Navya Nyaya. And after that they came to Navadvipa, Bengal. Now it is Nadia, it is called Nadia. Navadvipa. Navadvipa, still the name is there. The place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Navadvipa then became the second largest center of Navya Nyaya. Initiating from Mithila, it came to Bengal, and in Bengal these scholars developed it in such a way that different schools were created. And these traditions, then a meeting point was where? Kashi. So these scholars used to come to Kashi, Varanasi, because that was our place of pilgrimage. The whole country used to assemble there. And there was a time when people used to believe that, that was the kind of a belief that I should die in Varanasi. So Kashi Marana was the most desirable. My own guru was of that desire. In spite of my standing before him with folded hands and touching his feet, don't go, don't leave me. He went. Srinivas Shastri, he went in Kashi, Varanasi, and he died there. So that there all the scholars used to gather. That was a religious center, no doubt, but that was religious, more than religious, a very vibrant, intellectual, philosophical, cultural center was Kashi in those days. And so these assembled there, and there from all over the country the learners used to go there. And they studied under these giants. And from there they went to different parts of our country. So from south, from north, from Kashmir, from here, from there, Navya Nyaya spread all over the country. This is how. But now you will see, you go to Bengal, you will find that hardly you will be able to identify. I am happy that in some degree the tradition is preserved in the south, in Andhra, in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, Kerala somehow, up to Parikshit, it was there somehow. Thereafter, I do not see that any serious attempt was made to preserve in Kerala. But good attempts were made by these scholars living in these states. So the position of the traditional learning in Navya Nyaya and preserving the tradition of Navya Nyaya in South is certainly better than any other place in the country. There is no doubt about it. But what is required is not only this kind of a preservation. What is required is that prepare people to enter into these texts. which have texts which have protected, which have preserved the discourses of these several years, more than 600-700 years discourses, they are all preserved there in this text, and which are not available to the intellectuals. That kind of attempt is very much essential. That needs to be done, on a very priority basis, is what I feel. So you have Nyaya, development. So now you know both the things now, that why Nyaya Vaiseshika, it became Nyaya Vaiseshika, now you know. And Nyaya developed in two phases. One phase is called Prachina Nyaya, the other phase is called Navya Nyaya. Prachina Nyaya was concentrating on issues. Navya Nyaya is concentrating on developing the language of discourse. Of course, issues are to be taken for discussion, goes without saying, but more than the issues, the method, the language through which the issues are to be discussed, that was taken for development, and they developed in a very subtle manner. And since it was a language which is not any domain specific language, it is a language which can be used to any domain, and therefore all domains of knowledge after 13th century AD, you find the authors are writing their books in this language. So if you want to do linguistics, you will find there are books of Kondavatta, Vaiyakarana Bhushana. If you want to do a philosophy of language, you have a book written in this. So whosoever is interested in intellectual discourse will be benefited by learning this language, so that they will be able to go to the original text. And this is what it is. So I have given you a very panoramic view of the development of Nyaya Vaiseshika system. And our text is, Tarkasamgraha, is of 17th century. Precisely 1623 of Annam Bhatta. From Andhra Pradesh. Annam Bhatta, Anna of Andhra Pradesh. I think this background is enough to start the text. More, you can read history of Indian logic, S.C. Vidyabhushan, Sirish Chandra Vidyabhushan, History of Indian Logic, and many other authors after that wrote, but it is specifically this gentleman as a book, and it is available also from Motilal Banarsidass publisher. It is available. You can buy it, read it for history, and many other, but mainly I would recommend this, let it go. It needs to be revised now because so many things have also become old, but for that you have to struggle very hard, and many texts are not yet published also. They are only in handwritten form, maybe with many Pandit families. The books written in Navinyaya or in other domains in Navinyaya language, all of them are not yet published also. Many are lying in the personal libraries of the Brahmins in different parts of India. This is the situation. So the students of Sanskrit, they can do this favor also. Unfortunately, they are also not doing this. that they may select some book, some text which has not yet been published. They should edit it, write some introduction, translate them, and then make it available to the public. And they can do it as a PhD topic. But this needs lot of knowledge, to read a text, to decide the reading of a text, edit it critically. Because what happened, suppose a Pandit is sitting in Varanasi, and there one came from Kashmir, other came from, let us say, Karnataka, other came from Chennai, somebody came from north, like that. And while studying under a teacher, there was no easily available, printed texts were not easily available. So they used to copy. So there is to one manuscript, they used to copy. So the copy of the same book goes to north, goes to south, goes to west, goes to east. Now while copying, they might have committed some mistakes. This is how the scholarship is required to identify what could be the original text which was being copied by these people. And for that, there is a separate discipline called manuscriptology. I again started that course in Pune University, 1 year duration, 2 years duration. Because I was a restless man. What is going to happen to all this treasure? So first let me train the students how to handle manuscripts, how to edit manuscripts. That scientific knowledge should be provided. Then they should be taught a particular system of which the manuscript belongs, to which it belongs, and then ask him to do a PhD on that particular manuscript. You can see? So now they say, sir, on what should I do? On what should I do PhD? And teachers are telling, no, you see, yeah. There may be in your Mysore Oriental Research Institute is there, no? So go to the library and you will find different volumes on catalogues of manuscripts. Write it down. Catalogues of Sanskrit manuscripts. Classified catalogues you have on different subjects. On Dharma Shastra, on Gita, on Vedanta, on Ramanuja, anyway, like that. And then there is one Catalogus Catalogorum published from Adyar Library, Chennai. And there you will get the information regarding which of them are already published. That also is now old. So many of them might have been published afterwards also. So then you can know that which is published, which is not published. And then you identify one which is not published. And then you work on that. It will be simply enjoying exercise. You can do that. And but for that, you already have knowledge of Sanskrit, no? Or no? You know Sanskrit, no? No, then you have no problem. Then you have to. Then you will enjoy. Because first all are written in Sanskrit. So you can do this kind of exercise.